Chapter 1. The Proposal That Wasn't a Choice. Why are we in the study, Mama? Because the roof leaks and the bank is colder than winter, my mother said, gripping a cracked teacup. Listen to me. I'm listening. You will marry Lorenzo Rossi, the son of the man who strangled father's business, I said. Say you're joking. It is not a joke. It is how we keep our home. You sold my future for stone and plaster? I traded pride for your safety, she said. His father offered protection and an end to the foreclosure. Protection that feels like chains. Chains are lighter than a coffin, she whispered. Please, I have already agreed to dinner. You agreed without asking me. If I asked, you'd refuse. And then where would you go? Florence belongs to them. I belong to myself. Keep your fire, she said. But come, wear your blue dress. I'll wear armor. Grace is sharper, she said. Does Lorenzo even want this? I don't know what he wants, she said, but I know what his father takes. What does our lawyer say? He calls it a settlement, she said. He will meet us there. I will go, I said. I will listen, I will not bow. Hold your head high, she said, but keep it. The restaurant glittered with mirrors and money. The Rossis were already seated, black suits absorbing light. Lorenzo's father rose. Signora, he said to my mother, then looked through me. You brought the girl. I have a name, I said. You may use it. A name is a costume, he said. The role matters more. Then cast someone else. My mother squeezed my hand. Please. I sack. Lorenzo lifted his eyes when water was poured. Blue-gray, unreadable. So, I said, am I marrying a man or a contract? A little of both, Lorenzo said, voice low. Do you always flirt like a warning? Only when politeness is required. His father cleared his throat. Terms. Your surrounding land comes to my company. You keep the villa. The marriage seals peace. And my consent seals what? I asked. That you understand reality. I understand leverage, I said. And that you ruined my father. Your father ruined himself, he said. I kept the books honest. Our lawyer appeared, setting a folder down. A draft, he said. Nothing binding tonight. I didn't touch it. Lorenzo, you want this? He studied me like a problem worth solving. Want was a luxury. This is necessary. Necessary isn't tender. Tender is dangerous in our world, he said. Eat. I'm not hungry. Then drink, he said, sliding a glass toward me. You'll need a steady hand. Do not instruct my daughter, my mother said. Forgive me, he replied, precise as a folded napkin. His father leaned back. We marry in a month. You expect me to turn from enemy to ornament in 30 days? I expect you to arrive, he said. The rest is optics. And if I don't? The bank collects. I looked at Lorenzo. If I run? He held my gaze. Others will hunt. They won't ask you to wear blue. Is that a threat? A forecast, he said. Storms are coming. I stood. Bathroom. Lorenzo rose too. I'll walk you. I don't need a guard. Good, he said. I'm not one. The hallway multiplied us in glass. Say it, I said. You are not safe with my name on your back unless you stand inside my house, he murmured. This marriage is a shield. I don't want your shield. Want has nothing to do with it, he said. I am not your enemy. You arrived with him. He is my father, he said. He is not me. Prove it. Not here, he said. Not yet. He leaned close. Step into my world, you learn its rules, and your place. My place is beside myself, I said. I will not disappear. Good, he said. I dislike ghosts. We returned. The papers waited like teeth. Sign nothing, I told the lawyer. Wise, he said. We negotiate. Lorenzo's father smiled. Bargain the edges, the center holds. Stories change centers, I said. Stories are for women, he said. Stories build empires, I said, and bury them. Lorenzo's eyes flickered. Respect, maybe. Dessert landed. I pushed it away. I accept dinner, I said. I do not accept surrender. Semantics, his father said. Meaning, I said, and meaning is all I have. Lorenzo set his glass down. We're done. On the contrary, his father said, we are beginning. I smoothed the blue dress. You know the address, I said. Send your revised terms. Florence knows every address, he said. Then let Florence witness, I said. Good night. Outside, the air bit. My mother took my arm. Tell me you're not breaking, she said. I'm bending, I said. Is he cruel? He's careful, I said, which may be worse. And the father? A blade that believes it is law. The driver opened the door. Through the glass, Lorenzo stood in the doorway, hands in pockets, face carved from restraint. Will you marry him? My mother asked. I will marry my future, I said. Whether he fits inside it is up to him. Back in the car, Florence slid by in gold and shadow. I pressed my palms together and promised myself one thing. If I must enter his world, I will redraw its map. Chapter 2. A Wedding Drenched in Tension. Don't pull at the veil, Sophia whispered, adjusting it for the third time. It's suffocating, I muttered, like the rest of this day. Breathe, you look perfect. Perfect for who? I asked. She glanced toward the heavy cathedral doors. For them, obviously. The organ thundered, the doors opened, and a wall of gilded light poured in. The aisle stretched ahead like a runway of judgment. Lorenzo stood at the far end, in a suit so sharp it could cut. His gaze never wavered, but his hands stayed clasped in front of him, not extended. My steps echoed. My mother's arm trembled under mine. I wanted to ask her if she was proud or just relieved. You're shaking, she murmured. I'm walking into a contract, not a marriage. Contracts keep us alive, she said. At the altar, the priest smiled, like this was the happiest union in Milan. Lorenzo didn't smile. He simply nodded once, as if approving a business deal. Do you, Isabella? I do, I said quickly, before doubt could crawl up my throat. Do you, Lorenzo? I do, he said, with no hesitation, no warmth. The ring slid on cold fingers. The kiss was a brief brush, not a claim, not even a promise. Congratulations, the priest said. Thank you, I replied, though it felt like a lie. The reception hall glittered with chandeliers and polished silver. Waiters glided between tables with champagne. But the air was thick with the scent of power. My relatives huddled together, their smiles too wide. You've married into the finest family in Milan, my aunt gushed. The richest maybe, I said. Lorenzo's mother appeared, tall, statuesque, draped in black silk like she was attending a funeral instead of a wedding. Isabella, she said, her voice cool as marble. You clean up well. I didn't realize I needed cleaning. Her lips curved faintly. Every bride does. My son. Chose well enough. Well enough? I raised a brow. For an arrangement, she replied. Excuse me. Sophia leaned in the moment she walked away. I see the resemblance. To Lorenzo? To the glacier he lives on. I smirked despite myself. She likes me already. Later, as I stood by the champagne fountain, Lorenzo approached, 2 glasses in hand. You've barely eaten, he said. Hard to chew when I'm under surveillance. He handed me a glass. You're handling it better than most would. Is that a compliment? Observation. His gaze swept the room. You should smile. My father watches everything. Your father will have to live with my expressions, I said. Not if they cost him something, he murmured. Before I could respond, his father's voice sliced through the music. Lorenzo, a word. They stepped aside, but the crowd parted just enough for me to hear. Keep her in line, his father said. We can't afford sentiment. She's not a liability, Lorenzo replied. Every outsider is a liability. Lorenzo's eyes flicked toward me, catching me listening. He smirked, slow, deliberate, like he wanted me to wonder what game he was playing. Sophia tugged me toward the dance floor. Before you strangle him, dance with me instead. I thought the bride was supposed to dance with the groom. You've got plenty of years for that, she said dryly. We spun once, twice, laughing too loudly, drawing stares from Rossi relatives who clearly didn't understand joy. He's watching you, Sophia said. Good, let him wonder. Do you like him? I shot her a look. Sophia, I'm asking. He's magnetic in that could ruin your life kind of way. That's not a recommendation. It's an observation, she said, echoing his words. The night dragged on, a blur of speeches I barely heard and hands I didn't want to shake. As the cake was cut, I caught Lorenzo alone near the balcony doors. Escaping? I asked. Breathing, he said. You? Same. He held the door for me. The cool night air was a relief. Milan glittered below like a city built for secrets. You overheard, he said, leaning on the railing. Your father's not subtle. And you think I agree with him? I think you enjoy keeping me guessing. He didn't deny it. You intrigue me, Isabella. Because I'm from a weaker family? Because you don't flinch, he said. Most would in your place. My place, I repeated. The one you promised I'd learn. His smirk returned. Lesson 1. In this world, appearances are weapons. And mine? Sharp enough to draw blood, he said quietly. For a moment, the air between us felt different. Less like a battlefield, more like a truce. Then the music swelled inside, and the spell broke. Shall we? He asked. To the cage? To the stage, he corrected. We're still performing. I stepped past him, feeling his gaze on my back. And for the first time that day, I wasn't sure if the bars around me were meant to keep me in or keep something else out. Chapter 3. The Enemy's Home. The iron gates groaned open, revealing more land than I'd ever walked in my life. Cypress trees lined the driveway like soldiers. The Rossi estate wasn't a house. It was a declaration. Welcome to your new home, Lorenzo said from the back seat. It feels more like a fortress. Fortresses keep people safe. Or keep them in, I muttered. He didn't answer. Inside, the ceiling soared. Marble gleamed underfoot, and chandeliers threw shards of light across gilded frames. A woman in her 50s, apron crisp and eyes careful, stepped forward. Signora Rossi, she said with a polite bow. I'm Lucia, the housekeeper. If you need anything, I'll find her if she does, Lorenzo cut in. Lucia's glance toward him was brief, almost wary. Of course, signore. Thank you, Lucia, I said, ignoring the sting in his tone. She gave me a faint, encouraging smile before disappearing down the hall. We stopped before 2 carved oak doors. Your room, Lorenzo said, opening one. My room? I stepped inside. It was beautiful. A 4-poster bed, silk drapes, and a view of manicured gardens, but cold in a way beauty couldn't hide. You expected something else? He asked. Maybe the concept of sharing a space with the man I just married. This is a marriage on paper, he said flatly. Nothing more. I folded my arms. You're very good at making your point. I'm very good at keeping things under control, he replied. Dinner is at 8. Don't be late. The dining room table could seat 20. Tonight, there were 4. Lorenzo, his mother, a tall man with easy charm, and me. This is Marco, Lorenzo said. My cousin. Pleasure, Marco said warmly. Welcome to the family. Thank you, I said. It's overwhelming. That's the idea, he said with a grin. Lorenzo's mother lifted her glass. Florence has such quaint traditions. Do you miss them already? Some, I said, keeping my tone even. We tend to value them. How refreshing, she said. Though I imagine you'll find Rome's circles more refined. The insult was laced with sugar, but it still cut. I glanced at Lorenzo. He sipped his wine without a word. Marco leaned toward me. Don't take it personally. She's like this with everyone. Everyone from a weaker family? I asked. Especially them, he admitted. I'm still here, I said to Lorenzo. I noticed. He replied, his expression unreadable. After dessert, Lorenzo stood. Enjoy the rest of your evening. You're leaving? I asked. I have work. Marco chuckled. He always has work. When Lorenzo left, his mother excused herself with a cool nod. Marco stayed behind, sipping his wine. Careful, he said quietly. This house hears things. From the walls? From the people. He set down his glass. Lucia can be trusted. That's about it. Later, I stepped onto the balcony, outside my room. The air smelled of jasmine and rain. I wrapped my shawl tighter and stared out at the garden's shadowed paths. A movement caught my eye. Across the courtyard, on another balcony, stood Lorenzo. How long have you been watching me? I called softly. He didn't move. Long enough to know you don't like being here. You gave me a room far from yours. I got the message. It wasn't a message. Then what was it? A precaution. Against what? Me? His pause was long. Against, something. Then what was it? A precaution. This is only part of the plan. Implications. I laughed without humor. You mean feelings? Among other things. You assume I'd fall for you. You're already angry enough to care, he said. Don't flatter yourself, I shot back. But my pulse betrayed me, quick and loud. He tilted his head, as if weighing my words. Good night, Isabella. Good night, Lorenzo. He disappeared into the shadows of his room, and I told myself it didn't matter. But the truth sat heavy in my chest. I hated him. And yet, there was something in the way he looked at me that I couldn't explain, and it scared me more than his father's power or his mother's scorn. Chapter 4. Cracks in the Mask. Thunder makes this house sound hollow, I said, slipping into the study. You shouldn't be here, Lorenzo said. I was escaping the hallways. Then you chose the wrong room. I chose this. I lifted a sheet from his desk. It's me. A sketch, he said. Just practice. Practice of my scar, my mouth, my hair. You notice details. I notice when I become paper. You're my wife, he said quietly. Paper isn't a cage. Then why lock your door? Locks keep storms out. You drew me kind. I drew what I see. You never look at me that way. I can't afford to. Are feelings a bill? In my family, yes. Lightning flashed. He poured wine. Sit. I'll stand. Stubborn, he said, offering the glass anyway. He leaned on the desk. My mother hangs portraits of victory. My father keeps ledgers of revenge. I draw exits. Exits from what? Rules that choke. And me? You're the first thing I didn't choose and didn't hate. Not poetry. Honorary. I sipped. Your childhood? Loud rooms, quiet punishments. Did you want another name? I wanted silence, he said. Silence is dangerous here. The door opened. A tall man with rain on his shoulders stepped in. Power flickered, he said. Perimeter holds. Paolo, Lorenzo said. This is Isabella. Security, Paolo said to me. Rules. Don't wander. Don't trust new faces. Call me before opening gates. I already live behind gates I didn't choose. Good, he said. Fear is useful. We're busy, Lorenzo told him. So is trouble, Paolo replied. Your brother is outside, angry, wet. Alessandro? I asked. Yes, Lorenzo said. Bring him. I can leave, I offered. Stay, he said. You wanted truth. The door swung again. A younger man strode in, eyes bright. Brother, he said. You wed the enemy and forgot to invite me. Hello, Alessandro, Lorenzo said. He glanced at me. I'm the unmentioned sibling. I'm the unconsulted bride, I said. He grinned. Then hear this. Father is buying judges. Your peace is confetti. I never called it peace, Lorenzo said. Strategy. Strategy that paints a target on her, Alessandro said, nodding at me. You think bank letters stop bullets? Nothing stops everything, Lorenzo said. We choose which wounds we take. Choose me, for once, Alessandro said. Burn the ledger. Fires make noise, Paolo said from the door. Neighbors already stare, Alessandro shot back. They say you married a fuse. I faced Lorenzo. Am I a fuse? You're a line no one crosses, he said softly. Good line, Paolo said. Alessandro noticed the sketch. Drawing the wife? Sweet. Leave it, Lorenzo said. Or what? Sketch me out. I'll erase you, Lorenzo said. Try, Alessandro said. I'm the shadow you can't scrub. I stepped forward. What do you need from us? A confession, he said. That he's hiding things. He omits, I said. He hasn't lied tonight. Honor approved the marriage because her land leashes her family, Alessandra said. He plans to yank. I know, I said. Lorenzo set his glass down. I've arranged protections. For her or for your pride? Alessandro asked. For both, Lorenzo said. Paolo? Paolo opened a folder. Trust deeds, a judge's note, grants tied to her mother's clinic. Pull one thread, the press sees all. Father buys ink, Alessandra said. Not every headline, Lorenzo replied. Some crave scandal. And if he threatens her? Alessandro asked. We relocate, Paolo said, quietly. Relocate me where? I asked. Trastevere, Lorenzo said. Unmarked flat. Temporary. You planned that without me? I planned so you can refuse safely, he said. Refuse now, I'll still keep the key. Alessandro studied me. He cares. Miracle. Let him speak, I said. I want angles. Angle 1, Alessandro said. Father sees leverage. Angle 2, rivals see a wedge. Angle 3, Lorenzo sees gravity. Gravity? I asked. He orbits you, Alessandro said, flicking the sketch. You came to warn or wound? Lorenzo asked. Both, Alessandro said. Warnings don't work here unless they cut. Thunder cracked. I lifted the sketch. Why shouldn't I run? Running exposes your mother, Paolo said. I'd follow, Alessandro added. Father would too. And I'm asking you not to, Lorenzo said, eyes on mine. Stay, and this house answers to you. To me? To your rules, he said. My rules start with truth, I said. Did you draw me because you want me or to control me? Yes, he said. That's two answers. It's both, he said. Want and control. I'm trying to want less and protect more. Paolo shut the folder. Placements, phones, drivers. Give her my driver, Alessandra said. I don't need a driver, I said. I need choices. Then choose, Lorenzo said. Choose to stay in this fight. I'll stay, I said. But if you lie again, I become the storm you fear. I know, he said. I drew lightning for a reason. Alessandra moves to the door. I'll spread the wrong rumor. Careful, Paolo warned. I was born wrong, Alessandra said. Paolo paused beside me. Call if faces feel off. Most faces feel off, I said. Call anyway, he replied. Rain softened. I tucked the sketch into my dress. Finish it when you earn it, I told Lorenzo. He nodded. Don't trust me, he said. Not yet. I don't, I said. But I'm watching. Good, he said. Watch me choose you. The storm outside faded. Inside, our fault lines finally began shifting slowly. Chapter 5, The Knife in the Back. The clock in the hallway had just struck midnight when I heard voices drifting from Lorenzo's study. I paused outside. The heavy door cracked just enough for their words to slip through. The transfer is set for next week, his father's voice said, smooth and certain. That soon? Lorenzo's tone was quieter, but I could still catch it. The land must be in Rossley hands before anyone interferes. And Isabella? She'll have the villa. That's all she needs. I pushed the door open without knocking. And what I want? That doesn't matter? Lorenzo's head snapped toward me. Isabella. No, don't soften it now. I stepped inside. I just heard my family's land is being handed over like a bottle of wine. His father didn't even look guilty. It's business. It's theft, I said. It's protection, Lorenzo cut in. I turned on him. From what? From you? From worse enemies, he said. That's the kind of line you give a stranger, not your wife. This isn't about us, he said. It's entirely about us. His father stood. She doesn't understand the game. I glared at him. I understand betrayal. Isabella, let me explain. Lorenzo started. No, you sign those papers and the only thing left between us will be ink. I turned and walked out, my pulse hammering in my ears. In my room, I paced until my phone lit up. Sophia. I didn't know who else to call, she said quickly. What happened? There's talk in Florence, about you, about the Rossis. Someone in your own family is feeding them everything. I froze. That's impossible. It's not, she said. And a name I keep hearing. Uncle Vittorio. I sat down hard. Why him? He's been seen with a Rossi associate at least twice this month. Bianca swears she overheard them at a cafe. Bianca loves a rumor. She loves being right even more, Sophia said, the next morning. I found Vittorio in the East Garden, hands clasped behind his back like a man surveying a kingdom. You look tense, niece, he said. I wonder why. He smiled faintly. Marriage trouble already? I heard you've been meeting with Rossi people. Is that a crime? When it's my land on the line, yes. Your land? That property was always more burden than blessing. It was my father's, I said. And your father made mistakes, he replied smoothly. I'm just making sure those mistakes don't sink the rest of us. By selling me out? By making peace, he corrected. You should thank me. I stormed into the drawing room, where Lorenzo was with Marco. Tell me, I said, is my uncle one of your father's errand boys? Marco glanced at Lorenzo. I'll leave you two. Stay, I said. If he lies, I want a witness. Lorenzo set down his glass. I didn't recruit him, he came to us. Us? My father, he said. He offered information. About me? About your family's finances, holdings, contacts. And you didn't think to tell me? I was trying to keep you out of it. That's not protection, Lorenzo. That's manipulation. I can't fight every battle on two fronts, he said, his voice rising. I'm already holding back people who would tear you apart if you weren't my wife. Then maybe I shouldn't be your wife, I snapped. His jaw tightened. You don't mean that. Try me. Later, I met Bianca in a quiet cafe off Via del Corso. I can't talk long, she said. Tell me what you know. She leaned in. Vittorio's been feeding them details for months. Debt, property disputes, even personal things. Your habits, where you like to shop. He was seen laughing with one of their lawyers last week. Why? Money? Influence. He's always wanted to be closer to the winning side. And you're sure? I'm sure enough to warn you, she said. But careful. Your husband isn't innocent in this either. I'm starting to see that, I said. When I returned, Lorenzo was waiting in my room. You went to see Bianca. You had me followed? I had you protected. I laughed bitterly. From the truth? From working into traps. Bianca talks too much, and not all of it's true. And yet, she and Sofia told me the same thing about Vittorio. I know he's dirty, Lorenzo admitted, but cutting him off means starting a war I can't win right now. You'd rather keep him close? For now. You sound just like your father, I said. His face hardened. That's the one thing you know I hate. Then prove you're not him. How? Give me the truth before I have to steal it. He stepped closer. The truth is ugly. So am I when I've been lied to. We stared at each other until he finally said, I'll deal with Vittorio, but it will be my way. I'm not sure your way and mine belong in the same marriage, I said. He didn't answer, and in the silence, I realized I wasn't sure who the real enemy was anymore. Chapter 6. The Truth in the Shadows. I kept my footsteps light, hugging the stone wall as I trailed Lorenzo through the dim streets. The air smelled faintly of rain and exhaust, and the only sound was the steady click of his shoes. He stopped outside a narrow building with shuttered windows, glanced over his shoulder, then slipped inside. I waited a beat before pushing the door open. It has to be airtight, Lorenzo's voice said from somewhere ahead. I can only grant that if no one traces the funds, another voice replied. I stepped closer and saw them. Lorenzo at a small table, facing a man in a tailored suit. The money goes to her mother, Lorenzo said. It's under a different name, but it will cover the villa repairs and ensure she isn't leveraged. The man, a judge, judging by the ring on his finger, nodded. And the father? Gone, Lorenzo said curtly. This is about her. I stepped into the light. Her is here. Lorenzo's head turned sharply. Isabella. The judge looked between us, then rose. I'll give you two a moment. When he left, I crossed my arms. So while I was accusing you of selling my family out, you were protecting my mother. It's not that simple. It's exactly that simple. You hit it. I had to, he said. If my father knew, he'd stop it. Why? Because he doesn't protect people he can't control, and he can't control her. My anger dulled into confusion. So this meeting wasn't about taking from me? It was about keeping you from losing more. I shook my head. You could have told me. You would have fought me on it, he said. You'd rather protect your pride than accept my help? And you'd rather play the martyr than trust me. His mouth twitched. Fair. We sat at the table. The judge's coffee still steamed faintly. What's really going on, Lorenzo? I asked. No vague threats. No half-truths. He studied me for a moment, then leaned forward. My father's business empire is bleeding from the inside. Rivals are circling. If it falls, yours falls with it because of the marriage contract. If I pull too hard to protect you, he'll see me as disloyal. And if you do nothing, you lose everything anyway. So I gestured vaguely. What, playing both sides? Yes, he said simply, keeping him thinking I'm loyal while I quietly take pieces off the board so he can't use them against you. That's dangerous. That's survival. The door creaked, and the judge returned. I'll have the papers ready by Friday. After that, you're on your own. Lorenzo stood. That's all I need. The judge eyed me. Be careful who knows what. Secrets are safer when they're one-sided. When he left again, I exhaled. Do you trust him? No. But I trust his greed to keep him predictable. Outside, the streetlights threw his face into alternating shadow and gold. You hide behind that cold act. I said, but it's just armor. And what would you have me do? Walk around looking like I care? It wouldn't kill you. It might, he said flatly. In my family, weakness is blood in the water. Caring isn't weakness. In this world, it is. I stepped in front of him. Then why show me any of this? He hesitated. Because if something happens to me, you'll need to know where the cracks are. The words landed like ice. Something like what? Like my father finding out. We walked back in silence until we reached the car. Paolo waited, leaning against the door. You were followed, he said to Lorenzo. By who? Too far to see clearly, but not one of ours. Paolo's eyes flicked to me. She shouldn't be out at night. She was already there, Lorenzo said. Paolo frowned. Then she knows. She knows enough, Lorenzo replied. Paolo looked at me directly. Knowing enough can be fatal. I met his gaze. So can knowing nothing. In the car. The city blurred past in wet streaks of light. Tell me one thing, I said finally. Why my mother? Why risk yourself for her? Because she's the only one who never tried to use you, he said. And I respect that. Respect? I repeated. Don't read more into it than that. But his voice had softened, and I knew he was lying, not about protecting her, but about how much it mattered to him. I looked at his profile in the passing glow of street lamps, and for the first time since we met, I didn't just see the man my family had called an enemy. I saw someone carrying a weight he couldn't share. Someone who had built walls not to keep me out, but to keep everything else from getting in. And it terrified me how much I wanted to believe in him. Chapter 7. A Love That Shouldn't Exist. The chandeliers dripped light across the ballroom, every crystal catching the warm gold glow. A quartet played in the corner while masked guests floated past with champagne flutes and false laughter. You clean up well, Lorenzo murmured at my side. I'm not here to impress you, I said. You've succeeded anyway. We moved through the crowd like we belonged there, even though every look from the Rossi loyalists reminded me I didn't. A man in a navy suit stopped us. Lorenzo, good to see you. Signor Bianchi, Lorenzo greeted smoothly. May I present my wife, Isabella? Bianchi's handshake was firm, his eyes calculating. We've heard much about you. I hope some of it's true, I replied. His smile was thin. In Venice, truth is negotiable. He drifted away toward the mayor. Lorenzo handed me a glass of champagne. Don't be alone tonight. Is that a threat or advice? Both, he said. Before being pulled into a conversation by three men in tuxedos, I slipped onto the balcony, away from the hum of politics. The Grand Canal shimmered under the moon. gondolas sliding past like shadows. "You're fighting," Lorenzo's voice said behind me. "Observing," I corrected. "It's quieter out here." He stepped beside me, close enough that the scent of his cologne cut through the salt air. "Quieter is dangerous. You start thinking too much." "I think plenty already." Lightning in his eyes. Then, before I could move, his hand cupped my jaw and his mouth was on mine. It wasn't the careful brush of our wedding kiss. It was hungry, urgent, as if he'd been holding back for too long. I felt the world tilt, the canal's reflection blurring as my fingers curled into his jacket. When he pulled back, his voice was rough. "That shouldn't have happened." "Then why did you do it?" "Because I wanted to," he said, "and because I'm tired of pretending I don't." We stood there too long before the sound of footsteps broke the moment. Alessandro leaned against the balcony doorframe. Touching, truly, but maybe save the romance for when father isn't about to use her as a bargaining chip. Lorenzo's expression sharpened. "What?" "Word is, he's offering her to Bianchi in exchange for backing on the port deal," Alessandro said. "That's absurd," I said. "It's strategy," Alessandro replied. "He gifts you as an envoy, keeps you close enough to control, but far enough to test loyalty. And Bianchi, well, he collects pretty things." Lorenzo's fists clenched. "If you're lying?" "I'm not," Alessandro said. "And I'm telling her because she deserves to know what she's married into." I turned to Lorenzo. "Is it true?" "I wouldn't let it happen." "That's not an answer." "It's the only one I can give without starting a war right here," he said. Alessandro smirked. "See? Even when he cares, he plays chess." "I came out here to breathe," I said. "Now I feel like I'm drowning." Lorenzo took my hand. "Then hold on. I'll deal with him." "How?" I asked. "By making sure he believes you're more dangerous to him with me than without me." "That's a threat?" "That's a promise," he said. Back inside, the music swelled. Bianchi caught my eye from across the room and raised his glass. Alessandro leaned close as I passed him. "Careful, Isabella. The first kiss is the easiest to survive." I didn't answer. My heart was still pounding from Lorenzo's lips, but my mind wouldn't stop whispering. If I gave him my trust now, it might cost me everything later. Chapter 8: Fire and Glass. The study door slammed so hard the shelves rattled. "I know everything," his father's voice boomed. "The judge, the transfers, the favors for her family." Lorenzo didn't flinch. "Then you know why I did it." "You did it because she's poisoned you," his father spat, turning on me. "You." "Careful," I said, meeting his glare. "You'll break something you can't fix." "You've already broken my son," he roared. "I made my own choices," Lorenzo cut in. "You chose betrayal." "I chose not to be you," Lorenzo shot back. His father's hand slammed onto the desk. "I built this empire, and you risk it for her?" "You risked it long before she arrived," Lorenzo said. I stepped forward. "This was never about me. You just needed someone to blame." "You're clever," he said coldly. "Clever enough to worm your way into this family, into his bed, into his mind." "That's enough," Lorenzo snapped. "No," his father growled. "It's not enough until she's gone." I took a step back, but Lorenzo moved in front of me. "She stays," he said. "She ruins you," his father replied. "I'm already ruined in your eyes, so why not make it worth something?" His father's hand swept across the desk, sending a crystal decanter crashing to the floor. The scent of brandy burst into the air. "You'll regret this," he hissed. "I regret nothing," Lorenzo said. Glass crunched under his father's shoes as he rounded the desk toward me. "If you were smart, you'd walk out now." "And leave him to you?" I said. "No." It happened fast. His father's hand raised, Lorenzo catching his wrist mid-swing, the sharp sound of something shattering behind us as a glass tumbler fell from the shelf. "You touch her, and I'll burn this house to the ground," Lorenzo said, voice low and lethal. "You'd burn your inheritance too," his father sneered. "I'd light the match myself." For a second, they just stared at each other, the air thick enough to choke on. Then Lorenzo pushed him back. Not hard, but enough to make the message clear. "You've declared war on me," his father said. "No," Lorenzo replied. "You declared it the moment you saw her as a threat instead of family." I grabbed Lorenzo's hand. "We're done here." "We're not finished," his father barked. "Yes, we are," Lorenzo said, pulling me toward the door. Paolo was waiting in the hall, eyes sharp. "What happened?" "War," Lorenzo said simply. "Get the car." We moved fast, past portraits of men who had ruled this house for generations. My pulse was still pounding when Paolo opened the back door of the black sedan. "Where to?" he asked. "Anywhere but here," Lorenzo said, sliding in beside me. As the gates opened, the estate lights shrank in the rearview mirror. "You just burned your bridge," I said quietly. "It was rotting anyway. He's not going to stop." "I know. And you'd still choose me?" "I already did," he said, eyes fixed on the road ahead. The city rose in the distance, lights shimmering against the night. "What now?" I asked. "Now," Lorenzo said. "We planned for war. And if we lose?" He looked at me then, his expression fierce. "We don't." The car picked up speed, glass and fire still in my ears, the scent of brandy clinging to my skin. Somewhere between the shattered room we left behind and the blur of the city ahead, I knew there was no turning back. Forehead. Chapter 9. From Enemies to Only Love. The sea stretched out in front of us, endless and calm, waves curling against the rocks like they had nowhere else to be. The villa's terrace smelled of salt and lemon trees, and for the first time in months, I wasn't bracing for the next blow. "You've been staring at the water for 20 minutes, Lorenzo said, setting a cup of coffee beside me. "I'm making sure it's real," I said. "It is." He leaned against the railing. "We're safe here. For now. That's all I can promise." I turned to him. "When we met, I thought you were my enemy. You weren't wrong." "You're admitting it?" He gave a faint smile. "From the first moment I saw you, I knew I could never truly be your enemy. But I still had to play the part. Because of your father. Because of everything. If I let anyone see what I really felt, it would have destroyed us both. And now? Now there's nothing left to hide." A knock on the door broke the quiet. Paolo appeared, holding a small bundle. "Delivery for you." I frowned. "For me?" "Came by post from Florence," he said. When he left, I unwrapped the bundle to find letters tied with a faded ribbon. My mother's handwriting curved across the envelopes. Lorenzo stepped closer. "What is it?" "Letters. From her." I slid one open, the paper worn and soft. My mother's words spilled out. Apologies, confessions, things she had never said aloud. "She writes that the feud wasn't what I thought," I said, my voice catching. "It wasn't just your father. It was ours too. Lies, greed, both sides taking pieces, until there was nothing left but hate." Lorenzo's jaw tightened. "So they built our lives on a war neither of us started." I nodded. "And we just inherited it." He took the letter from my hands, scanning it quickly before setting it down. "Then we burn it. All of it. The history, the grudges. We start over. And the families? They can follow or be left behind." I studied his face. "You'd walk away from everything?" "I already have," he said simply. "The only thing I want now is here." "And what's here?" "You." The word hung between us, heavier than the tide. We spent the rest of the afternoon at the kitchen table, spreading the letters out, piecing together the real story. Every page was another fracture in the myth we'd been raised to believe. "Look at this," I said, pointing to one. "Your father and my uncle were business partners once. Before it all fell apart. Before greed ate the deal alive," he muttered. "Do you think they'll ever admit it?" "No. Which is why we don't wait for them to change. By sunset, we'd made a decision. We rebuild," Lorenzo said. "Not just for us, but for whatever comes after us. The future they couldn't see past their egos." "You make it sound easy. It won't be," he admitted. "But it's worth it." I smiled faintly. "I never thought I'd hear you talk about worth it in a way that didn't mean profit. Maybe I needed the right investment. And that's me?" "That's you," he said without hesitation. The terrace glowed in the last light, the air warm against my skin. Lorenzo stepped in front of me, close enough that I could feel the heat from his hands before they touched my face. "This isn't a truce," he said quietly. "I know." His mouth found mine, slow at first, then deeper, like he'd been holding back for years. And maybe we both had. When we finally pulled apart, the sea was darker, the first stars flickering above.